The fabric of the multiverse did not just break, it screamed. Reality folded inward, tearing a jagged hole through the void to reveal a single, silent island suspended in the nothingness between dimensions. Blue and gold light bled from the crack, saturating the floating stone with a hum that vibrated deep in the marrow. The island shuddered under the strain of the colliding worlds, stone grinding against stone as the rift stabilized. Dust rose from the platform, dancing in the unnatural luminescence. Then, the movement stopped. The air grew heavy, thick with the weight of an approaching presence. A figure descended from the shimmering light above. He landed with absolute stillness, his weightless touch failing to disturb even the loose grit of the island floor. Hanuman stood at the center of the platform. He did not look at the sky or the swirling chaos of the rift. He scanned the horizon with steady, focused eyes. His silence was not empty. It was a wall of calm that held the turbulent energy of the dimension at bay. He stood as a pillar of stillness, waiting for the inevitable shift in the wind that would signal his counterpart's arrival. The calm did not hold. The horizon darkened as the sky above the island buckled. Forced open by a pressure that defied the laws of the rift, a low, rhythmic thrumming began to pulse through the floating stone, growing in volume until it drowned out the hum of the blue light. Hanuman turned his gaze upward, his expression unchanged. From the center of the tearing clouds, a silhouette plummeted, gathering speed as it fell. The wind surged, screaming as it was displaced by the falling mass. It hit the platform with the force of a falling star. The island groaned, the stone beneath the impact point fracturing in a web of fissures that spread toward the edges of the platform. A massive crater blossomed in the center of the island, sending a shockwave of debris and dust into the air. Through the settling cloud of pulverized rock, a figure emerged, standing at the heart of the destruction. He gripped the heavy club, his posture rigid, his focus locked entirely on the figure standing across the plateau. The ground beneath them continued to vibrate, a testament to the raw kinetic energy that had just arrived. The standoff had begun. Hercules did not wait for the air to clear. He surged forward, his boots digging deep into the cracked stone, leaving behind twin furrows as he accelerated. The club swung in a wide, punishing arc, a blur of motion, intended to crush everything in its path. He moved with the weight of a landslide, a physical manifestation of unstoppable momentum. Hanuman stood rooted, his posture relaxed, his hands held in a gesture of peace that seemed entirely out of place against the violence of the charge. As the club whistled through the air, inches from impact, Hanuman shifted his weight. It was a subtle, fluid movement, a slight rotation of the torso that made him a ghost in the path of the strike. The weapon whistled through empty space. Hercules stumbled forward, his own momentum carrying him past his target. He fought for balance, heels skidding against the grit of the platform, the sheer force of his swing pulling him off center. Hanuman remained exactly where he had been, his eyes tracking the movement, his breathing steady. The contrast was absolute. One was a storm of kinetic rage, the other a calm, unreachable center. Hercules spun, his muscles coiled tight, ready to unleash a second, more calculated strike. Hercules roared, a sound of pure frustration, and launched himself into a second swing. This time, he put the full weight of his frame behind the motion, rotating his hips to generate maximum torque. The club whistled, tearing through the air with enough force to shatter stone. Hanuman barely looked up. As the weapon reached its apex, he reached out, his hand moving with a speed that defied perception. He did not grab the shaft, he simply extended two fingers and tapped the wood. The impact was instantaneous. The club stopped dead. The momentum that had been screaming toward a lethal impact vanished as if it had struck an immovable mountain. Hercules blinked, his arms locked, his muscles trembling as he applied every ounce of his legendary strength to pull the weapon free. It did not budge. The wood remained suspended in the air, held fast by the slight pressure of those two fingers. Hercules braced his feet, his boots sliding back against the stone, his face flushed with the exertion of an impossible struggle. He pulled, he twisted, he shoved, but the connection remained absolute. For the first time, the warrior looked at his opponent, not with anger, but with a dawning, sharp realization of a power he had never encountered. He was straining against a wall that refused to give. The struggle ended not with a release, but with a sound that tore through the fabric of the sky. It began as a low vibration, a hum that rattled the teeth and made the very air seem brittle. Hercules felt the change first. The ground beneath his feet buckled, the stone of the floating island groaning under an unseen pressure. Above them, the blue and gold light that bathed the platform flickered and died. A jagged, black fissure erupted directly overhead, spreading like a crack in a frozen lake. A high-pitched, screeching wail poured out, so intense that Hercules let go of his club, pressing his hands against his ears. The sky-splitting noise drowned out all other sound. Through the widening rift, shadows began to pour down like thick, viscous ink. They pooled on the island, eating the light and turning the bright stone into a dull, lifeless gray. Hanuman stepped back, his gaze fixed on the darkness expanding above. From the center of the void, something shifted. Massive serpent-like tails lashed out from the rift, thrashing against the atmosphere. The temperature plummeted, and the air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and decay. The rivalry vanished, replaced by a sudden, freezing weight of impending destruction. The mother of monsters had arrived, and the light was already fading. The darkness did not just cover the island. It hungered, it coiled around the pillars and reached for the heroes. A suffocating, oily presence that turned the air into a thick sludge. Hercules stood braced, his weapon held low as the shadows surged toward his throat. Then, the ground began to tremble, not from the rift, but from beneath. Hanuman took a single step forward, and his form began to shift. He grew, his shoulders broadening until they seemed to touch the underside of the swirling clouds. He continued to expand, his figure rising until he stood like a mountain of solid, unyielding stone. The shadows lashed out, trying to bind his limbs, but they withered against the sudden warmth radiating from his skin. Hanuman opened his mouth and shouted a prayer. The sound was not just a voice, it was a shockwave. A golden aura erupted from his core, pulsing outward in a blinding rhythmic wave. Wherever the light touched, the ink-black shadows evaporated into mist. The encroaching void shrieked as the golden radiance carved a hole through the darkness. The island illuminated, the gold brilliance banishing the gray decay. Hercules shielded his eyes, the oppressive weight lifting as his partner stood tall, a beacon of pure, defiant energy against the monster's gloom. Hercules did not hesitate. He gripped his weapon with both hands, the wood groaning under the pressure of his renewed strength. With a roar that echoed across the fractured island, he lunged into the heart of the shadow swarm. His strikes were precise and devastating. Each swing of his weapon connected with a bone-shattering force that sent ripples of sound through the air. Monsters shattered upon impact, dissolving into dark vapor. Beside him, Hanuman moved with a fluid, blinding velocity that defied the chaos. He did not need a weapon to dismantle the encroaching threat. He intercepted beams of dark energy with a flick of his tail, swatting them aside as if they were mere sparks. Their movements became a synchronized dance of destruction. When Hercules hammered a path through the center of the horde, Hanuman followed instantly, clearing the flanks. The rhythm was absolute. One strike, one deflection, one surge of forward momentum. They fought back to back, a wall of gold and steel against the tide of shadows. The ground buckled under the intensity of their assault, but they held the line, turning the once suffocating dark into a graveyard of broken, dissipating entities. The swarm faltered, unable to match the combined force of the two warriors. The tide of shadows stopped flowing. It began to drain upward. Echidna pulled the remaining darkness into her core, her form twisting and stretching until she towered over the platform like a nightmare made manifest. She expanded, her serpent tails lashing out to grip the very edges of the island, which groaned and tilted under her crushing weight. She was no longer a swarm, she was a titan. Her reach spanned the horizon, casting a long, jagged silhouette that blocked out the sky entirely. Hanuman watched the horizon darken, his feet digging deep into the stone to anchor the shifting ground. He moved his hands in complex, sweeping arcs, tracing glowing patterns in the air. Bright, golden mandalas ignited, blooming like stars in the gloom. He wove these shapes into solid, shimmering barriers that locked into place, bracing the island against the Titan's encroaching grip. The light from the mandalas hummed, a low vibration that countered the screech of the void. Hanuman looked toward his ally. He caught his eye, pointed upward at the center of the Titan's chest, and signaled. It was time to end the cycle. The air between them sharpened, charged with the final, heavy intent of their combined strength. Hanuman's hands blurred, pulling raw, golden light from the ether to shape a massive mace of concentrated divine energy. Beside him, the air grew searingly hot. Hercules raised his weapon, which ignited with a blinding, solar-white fire that stripped the shadows from the platform. They did not speak, they did not hesitate. With a shared glance, they launched themselves into the air, twin streaks of brilliance against the encroaching void. Echidna lunged, her gargantuan form surging forward to intercept them. But she was too slow. The heroes moved as one. Hanuman struck from the left, his mace glowing with the weight of 1,000 suns, while Hercules hammered from the right, his burning club trailing a wake of molten heat. They connected with the center of her chest at the exact same heartbeat. The impact point shattered like glass. A shockwave of pure, blinding light erupted from the collision, expanding outward with the force of a collapsing star. It tore through the darkness, dissolving the Titan into drifting embers and sealing the black rift in a single, thunderous roar. The force of the blast flattened the island, scouring the stone clean and throwing the heroes back toward the edges of the platform. Silence rushed in to fill the void, absolute and immediate. Fine gray dust drifted through the air, settling slowly over the scoured stone of the floating island. The rift was gone. The unnatural weight that had pressed against the atmosphere for hours finally dissipated, leaving the air thin and cold. Hanuman stood, his form returning to its natural stature. He brushed the debris from his shoulders and bowed his head, a gesture of quiet acknowledgement. Hercules leaned heavily upon his weapon, his chest heaving with the rhythm of his recovery. He looked toward the horizon, then back at his counterpart, offering a nod that carried the gravity of 1,000 battles. He spoke of the struggles of his own realm, the weight of labor and the limits of mortal endurance. Hanuman listened, then raised a hand to speak of the path of Dharma, the eternal order that binds the stars and the spirit alike. Their voices were low, steady, and devoid of conflict. A shimmering tear in reality opened behind each of them, casting soft, inviting light across the platform. Without further word, they turned. Hercules stepped into the golden haze of his home, and Hanuman dissolved into the blue light of the ether. The island drifted in the vastness of the cosmos, silent and still. Above, the sky cleared, revealing stars that burned with a steady, peaceful light. The cosmic fabric was whole once more,